Okay. I went kind of fast there today, but that's just the mood I'm in. But Ursula, what are you seeing, feeling, experiencing right now?
Just two dragons.
Just two dragons, that's all? Well, hopefully they like it when we laugh, right? What do they look like, Ursula?
They're huge. Huge dragons. One black, one white.
One black, one white. Okay, interesting.
Sorry, I'm working with dragons today. They just here.
You're away from them?
I've been working with dragons today, but dragon energy, so.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, good, good. What kind of vibe do you get off of these dragons?
These two are friends. They're kind of amusing, to be honest.
Yeah, like I was getting kind of a happy feeling off of them myself. Are you inside the Hall of Remembering?
Yes, I believe so. I was in the garden. I went to the garden, but the two dragons were waiting in the wood.
Oh, that's so funny.
Sorry.
And are the Madonnas there too?
They're there, but the dragons are like, no, you're not doing that today.
Ah, that's fine, that's fine. So let's talk to these dragons for a moment here. Do they have names? Would they like to talk with us today a little bit?
Black and white.
Black and White's their name? That's easy to remember, you know. We appreciate that. And are you guys just friends? Are you brother and sister, or what are you? The two of you together.
They're a pair. They work together.
Okay, good, good. And do they, being black and white, do they represent sort of like maybe a positive and negative, or yin and yang, or what?
Yes, bringing balance.
Balance, yes. I had that feeling. And what types of things do they normally work on?
Bringing balance. Bringing balance. Purpose.
Okay. All right. So, black and white, you might be good to help us with some of the questions we have today. We want to talk about some of the things that are going on with the Earth right now. We know there's been a lot of fires around the world. Can you tell us what the purpose of these were and how they got started?
The fires are a necessary part of the cleansing of the earth.
Mm-hmm. Why does the Earth need to be cleansed?
There's new energies coming through.
Oh. We're going to have to get rid of some old energies to make room for the new energies?
I'd rather get rid of my stuff.
What'd you say, Mitch?
So I think that's the same reason I gotta get rid of all my stuff.
Right? To make room, right? Because it's hard to receive if your hands are full, right? You need empty hands.
Correct.
Okay. And I know that a lot of people did a lot of meditations. We're praying for some rains to come to the Amazon. Was that an appropriate thing for people to do, or were they just kind of meddling in areas that they don't know what they're doing?
What the people were doing was expressing their concern.
Right? And love, sending love, right?
And the love vibration, of course, is a good thing.
So maybe, go ahead.
Water is another part of the cleansing process.
What is a part of the cleansing process? Water. Oh, okay. Sure, that makes sense. Are there any of these fires that are still going on around the planet that people should maybe send love to those areas to help with? Or is everything under control at this time?
The whole planet is under control.
Thank you.
It's way beyond the scope of humans.
Okay.
But love is never wasted.
What's that?
Love is never wasted.
Right. Okay. So the
Humans were to send love all over the planet. Don't try to target any particular area. Just send love to the whole planet, to its people, to its kingdoms.
right.
It could well serve
And let the
in
planet use it.
that is best suited to the planet rather than how humans might determine it's best used.
Exactly. So you wouldn't think, I want to send rain to the Amazon. You say, I want to send love and loving intentions to the Amazon, and let the Amazon do with them as it will.
Right.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Can you talk to me about this Hurricane Dorian? I know that I have some friends in Florida. They see hurricanes all the time, but for some reason this one seems a little different to them. What can you tell us about that hurricane?
Hurricanes are often created through the accumulation of negative human emotions.
Oh, okay. I've heard of them being, some of them being dissipated the same way, or well, the opposite way.
Again, sending love, yes.
But this particular hurricane, it's just another hurricane that comes at a seasonal basis and does what hurricanes do, and there's nothing different or outstanding or remarkable about this particular one.
In some essences, there is something unusual about every occurrence that is happening on the earth at this time.
Okay.
It's not whether they're seasonal or non-seasonal or part of the usual pattern or not part of the usual pattern. Right now, the earth is cleansing itself.
Okay.
It's passing through frequencies
Mhm.
which have not been received upon the planet for billions of years.
Wow. Did you say billions or millions?
Billions.
Okay.
And there is much to be changed, altered,
Okay.
transmuted,
Okay.
cleansed and purged.
So in a way, the Earth is being restored back to a previous time.
Up to a point, but also into a new time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And Mitch, did you get any knowingness on any of these topics that we touched base with? Do you have anything you want to say on any of those? Okay, good. All right, so black and white, these fires in the Amazon and some of these other places, did they have anything to do with the previous genetic manipulations that have occurred?
Yes.
Okay. And so were these genetic manipulations, these are things that happened millions of years ago also?
As a human being is undergoing transformation of their body, their crystalline body, the earth is undergoing the same transmutation of its body.
Okay.
Much of the vegetation will have to be replaced. The old has to make way for the new.
Okay. So let's just talk about the Amazon for now. I imagine things will be true across the board. This means that wherever fire went through, the new things that come up, will they be just better versions of the old things? Or will they just be completely new things that come up?
The many new species that will arise.
Wow.
Plants that are coming up fresh, are being infused with the diamond frequencies that are anchoring into the planet.
Wow, super exciting.
So
Okay.
their DNA structure too is being altered
Okay.
in just the same way that the human DNA structure is being altered.
Okay. How is the human DNA structure being altered? Can you go into that a little more?
There's many stages to this.
We don't have to kill all the humans so that new ones can come up with better DNA, do we?
The humans that are coming into the earth are coming in with altered DNA. The present human beings are going through the process of transformation.
All right. Thank you. That's good to know. So we've heard that there's going to be 3 waves of, I don't want to call them disasters, but there's going to be fire, water, and earthquakes. Am I right on that, or is there going to be more than that or less?
This is correct.
Okay.
Winds, lots of winds.
Lots of wind. Okay. So that wind, where does the wind come from, by the way? Is that generated with the jet stream or out in the oceans? Or tell me about the wind. It comes from the dragons? So the wind comes through last, behind everything else, and blows away the last remnants of the old.
Yeah.
Thank you, Black and White. I have some questions about the Yellowstone National Park, or the Yellowstone Caldera. I know there's some what they call thermal zones, some areas that are very, very hot. They've been like that for a while. Is there anything different or unusual or new going on with Yellowstone these days?
Yes.
Okay. And it seems like there's a lot of increased earthquake activity lately as well. Is that something new or something?
Waves of earthquakes through the earth.
Okay.
Earth has to move. Shake off.
Oh, okay. Does this mean that the continents are going to change shape? Or that new mountain ranges are going to pop up? Or how extreme are we talking about the movement here?
New land masses will arise.
Okay.
Others will sink.
Say that last part again. New land masses and what? Others will sink. Okay. Is there anything else that you can tell me before I move on about what's new in Yellowstone Park or what's happening there?
It's an intensification of the energy.
Okay.
Just the way you all as human beings feel these waves coming through, and you're out of sorts, and you want to rest, and you want to move, and you want to eat, and you don't want to eat, and so on and so on. The earth is going through the same movement, resting, movement, resting. It's pulling itself into a whole new frequency.
So at the end of all this, will the Earth be more crystalline then or something? Or will it have just moved up to 5th dimension? What will be the end result for the Earth in the short term?
A lot of changes. A lot of changes. So many lines that were inactive are opening up and firing up.
Okay.
The crystals are being retuned.
Mhm.
The frequency is rising.
Oh, so that means that crystals that you have that have a certain property, the properties of those crystals might be changing, huh?
Yes.
Interesting. Super interesting.
What,
Okay. What do you say about that, Mitch? All right. And black and white, what can you tell me about things like portals and ley lines and vortices? Is there any work that we should be doing on those types of things as humans to help the process at all?
As humans, you can choose to cleanse the energies in the vortexes. You can choose to open up ones that have been closed for so long.
Okay.
Bring them back into active service.
Okay.
Don't do it alone. Call in spirit.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Call in the dragons.
Okay.
Call in the crystals.
Okay.
Call in the elementals. But do not work alone.
Okay.
You do not have the knowledge to do it by yourself.
Sure, that makes sense.
Guided in your actions.
Right, because then we'll know which ones should be opened, which ones should not be, and what type of frequencies they should all be bringing through. When you're talking about go ahead.
Much of it is beyond your knowledge.
Okay.
Interconnected.
Okay.
What you do in one place affects another place.
Okay.
Get the guidance for where you're supposed to be working and where you're not supposed to be working.
Right.
Do it in the right sequence.
Oh, the right sequence. I didn't even think about that. Can you give me any guidance on the right sequence, just as a kind of rule of thumb to follow?
Follow your guidance. You will be told when it's time to work on a particular vortex or ley line.
Okay.
You're called to service. You don't just make it up yourself.
Right. Right. So we would just open ourselves up to spirit, open ourselves up to our higher selves, and ask them to tell us what to work on next.
Yes.
Okay.
Offer your services and wait for instructions.
Offer our services and wait for instructions. I love that. Does it matter if we go to the place or if we just do it remotely?
It doesn't really matter. It's probably a little bit more aesthetically pleasing to your mind to be in the place.
Right.
You may wish to be there to see, feel, sense what the area, but that's not necessary because all of that can be accomplished from afar.
Okay. Right. It's just sometimes easier for the human brain, but it's not necessary. Okay. So let me ask you this question, black and white. Well, first of all, last night I woke up. I know that we had the super new moon, and I was woken up at 3 a.m. and I went outside and I looked at the stars and everything like that. I'm not really sure what I saw there. Can you tell me what was going on up at the sky above my house last night at 3 a.m. when I woke up? It seemed like I saw a lot of triangles, but I don't know. Like, what was the meaning of all that? Why was I woken up at that time? What was I supposed to see or feel?
New grid
The new grid?
over the earth.
Beautiful.
Diamond grid.
Oh. Is this something that's above or below the veil? Does it have anything to do with the veil?
Understand the question.
Will this new grid affect our ability to remember our galactic origins and things like that? Or is the new grid doing some other purpose?
Switching on.
Okay.
Switching on the DNA. Switching on the codes.
Mhm.
Activating the codes.
Okay. So in a way, it's a
And they operate in the switching. There's a divine timing
Okay. Once again, the proper sequence.
over the whole earth.
Okay. Is this new grid a way of or a place to anchor in some of the diamond energies then as well?
No.
Okay.
Diamond energies are anchored inside of the earth.
Okay. Like at the crystal core or something like that?
No. There are grid layers close to the surface of the planet.
Mhm.
And ones deeper down, there are different layers.
Mhm.
The diamond frequencies are being anchored in layers too, not just one single layer, but in layers.
Okay.
And that again is in divine timing. There has to be adjustment made with each layer that is added. It's every time you get an upgrade, you have to take time to integrate the upgrade before you get the next upgrade. It's the same for the earth.
Sure. That makes sense.
But once it's integrated, then the next layer can come through, and so on. The layers are being built up a bit at a time, a bit at a time, a bit at a time.
Is there anything else you can explain to us about the diamond energies in general?
Diamond energies are very high frequency energies. They can be used, accessed to heal your system, but they are so high frequency that you do not want them in your system for very long.
Mm.
And you should not send them to another person
Ah,
without express permission, because they are very activating and it's not your job to just send them all over the place willy-nilly.
yes. Right, because if somebody got activated and they didn't know they were about to be activated and they didn't want to be activated, then
Tremendous damage.
right, you would do right, and they would think they were going crazy or who knows what, right?
It would do
What
damage. Go ahead.
psychological damage, physical damage?
Many layers of damage.
Do you know what hurts that diamond frequency resides?
I can't understand what you're saying, Mitch.
Do you know what hertz the diamond frequency is? Hertz range.
I'm not going to give you any answer to that question.
Okay.
Danger in that answer, in answering that question.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys for that very much. So let me ask you this question, Black and White. As I was going outside last night to look at the stars, it occurs to me that we're supposedly flying through space on a planet that's flying through space, that's spinning all around, and yet somehow I see the same constellation outside of my front doorstep every night. How's that possible?
Can you imagine all of it moving?
Okay.
Can you imagine all of it spinning together?
Okay. It's incredibly intricate then.
Far more intricate than human beings give it credit for.
Right. Because it's like a living thing.
Yes. It is a living thing.
Very cool. We talk about upgrading the human DNA. If there's some of us that want to do this ahead of time in order to help us to do our work so we can help the process or we can be better wayshowers, can we do this at all?
There is a divine timing to every last stage of this journey.
Okay.
When it is time for each person for their codes to activate, they will not activate before then. You do not want to force the issue at all.
Okay.
Not only because it would interrupt the pattern of the growth for the planet, but it would actually send you into mental hospitals.
And so the same thing with activating any additional chakras that we're not used to having. We wouldn't want to do that out of line either.
No, not at all. You are being told, people keep saying, the spirit world keeps telling you, enjoy the journey. There's a reason why they say enjoy the journey. Don't try to make the journey faster or the journey finish earlier or anything. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is the process. The point is the wonder and in the change. Allow it to unfold. Allow it to be in divine harmony. Get out of the way and just let it happen the way it's supposed to happen. When your part is, when it's time to do anything towards the opening of chakras or the awakening of certain code, you will be prompted. You will be nudged. When these nudges come, follow them. Follow the breadcrumbs. That's another thing that's always told to you. Follow the breadcrumbs. You're not meant to see the whole journey.
Right.
And you're not meant to rush the journey.
And so, but the end result will be that we'll have 12 main chakras instead of the 7 main chakras, right? And we'll have 12 stranded DNA. Is that both correct?
Fixate on numbers, it will only get you into serious trouble. There are far many more chakras than 7 or 12. Far many more.
Right. Right.
Far many more main.
Yes.
Wow.
So you
And
think it starts and finishes with a human being? Of course not.
Mm.
You're multidimensional. You're concentrating on only the small physical realm, but you're not allowing for the rest of your dimensions that go onto infinity.
I used to think sometimes, to me, it seemed like maybe the moon or the sun or even were kind of chakras of mine. Is that a thing? Because energy comes through them and they go into me, right? But they're just like a group joint chakra for everyone.
There is some truth in that.
Okay. There's an idea I had in my head. Right. And as one part of this process involved a unity consciousness. Let me get back to that.
How do you get back to a unity consciousness?
Yeah.
Transparency.
What's that?
Transparency.
Okay.
As you grow, as you go through this journey, I mean, you're starting with emptying yourself of all of the negative energies that have accumulated over lifetimes, over lifetimes, over lifetimes. You're getting rid of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming into authenticity.
Okay.
As you become more authentic, you are less inclined to have devious intention against another. The more authentic you become, the more loving you become.
Mm-hmm.
The more loving you become, the less there is to hide. The less there is to hide, the more open you become. The more open you become, the more transparent you become.
Mm-hmm.
The more transparent you become, the more you see each other in your fullness. The more you see each other in your fullness, the more you unite. The more you unite, the closer you get to unity consciousness, because you will start to realize after a point that I am you and you are me.
Right. Right. So if we have people that we want to work with on this regard, we can start it out in a kind of a smaller scale for fun and experiments.
I think I understand you, but I don't fully. Yes, you may practice on becoming more transparent.
Okay.
Yes, you can
Perfect.
stop hiding yourself from everybody else.
Right, right.
The more authentic you become, the less you're going to hide.
And then the more open you'll be to everyone and everything. Okay. That's
It's
really
not
cool.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was told by someone that we got a new chakra in the belly button that was its purpose was for unity consciousness. Is that true? Is there any truth to that?
There is a chakra called the Hara chakra, which is at the belly button.
Mhm.
Yes. Picture's mucky here.
Does it have anything to do with unity?
All the growth is to do with unity.
Okay. So the Hara chakra has always been there. It's always been a thing.
The Hara is opening in a lot of people where it has not been open before.
Okay. Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. And so what I was hearing was that the kind of the initial stages that a person should be doing if they want to be working on themselves is to have worked their way through all their karma in this lifetime, and then they want to try to work their way through the karma from previous lifetimes. Is that right? Did I hear that in there somewhere?
That is the purging journey.
Okay.
All of it has to be removed.
Does it really matter what order?
They intermingle to some extent, but it's easier to get rid of the lifetime karma and then move backwards, simply because you can remember what happens in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
As you're in the process of clearing this lifetime's traumas
Mm-hmm.
and distortions, you begin the process of remembering who you are as well. And so in the process of remembering the old buried, long forgotten karma then starts surfacing and coming up for clearing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of clearing that, it uncovers other trauma from this lifetime that you've completely buried and forgotten about. And it's a kind of cycling in and out, past, through other lifetimes, back to this lifetime, to other lifetimes, this, because they're all interconnected ultimately.
Right.
Black and white, when we hear about all these earth changes coming up, is there, sounds rather violent. I just want to know if there's a way that we can try to know that we are in the best place we can be. I mean, should we look for higher ground? Should we look to be super far inland? I mean, where do you go that you can be have the best chances of being safe from all the earth changes?
The earth changes are being very carefully monitored.
Okay.
When there is a need for anybody to move, they will be warned.
All right. Thank you. We appreciate that. Is there anything else that you would, well, first of all, when we're talking about the land masses moving around and new ones coming and old ones sinking, that sounds like something that should take like thousands of years. How long is that going to take?
The ascension process will take thousands of years.
Okay.
There are those who think that this is all going to happen with a flash of light and
Right.
everybody's going to wake up and find themselves ascended. That is not it's not how it's going to work.
Right.
It is a process that will take thousands of years.
Okay. So I might incarnate another 2-3 times then before I see this.
Absolutely, yes.
So it's not really, people call it the event, but it really should be called like the process, right?
That would be a better term for it.
Okay.
The event is an ongoing series of waves of energy that is coming through the earth. month after month after month. Your experiences, you've been experiencing this for quite a long time now.
Yes. Would you say going back to like 2012 or back to 1999 or back to even farther?
Even further.
Okay.
2012 was a tipping point that decided whether the Earth was going to move forward intact or whether the people were going to annihilate themselves once more.
Okay. I've heard there's been like 7 mass extinctions of the humans. Does that seem right?
There have been mass extinctions of the humans. This has been repeated several times.
Mhm. So that is something that could have happened in 2012, but it didn't?
Yes. It wouldn't have happened in 2012, but you were on a trajectory for it to happen. At 2012, the human race reached a tipping point where they moved into a different trajectory.
Basically altered our timeline via people thinking good thoughts. Is that what you're saying?
Not thinking good thoughts, but changing their behaviors.
Okay. So and it was just that enough people decided that they'd had enough of like things like war and greed that it was able to change the direction. That's super cool. Thank you very much. I've got information before that the planet or maybe even the whole solar system may have been moved from its original location, even maybe put into a black hole. Is that a real thing?
There has been changes of trajectories of planets, yes.
Mhm.
The Earth is in quarantine.
Okay.
Because free will is an unusual experiment. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
It can have adverse consequences for the rest of the multiverse. It's necessary to have such an experiment as far away from the rest of the universe as possible,
That makes sense.
so as not to damage what is working perfectly fine.
So this quarantine wasn't necessarily enacted by what we might call bad actors. This was actually done uh, by source for the benefit of the rest of the universe.
There are no bad actors.
Okay.
All that is done from source with permission from source.
Right. Because we sometimes hear that there's entities on the planet, um, maybe not native to the planet, maybe native to the planet, that are actively trying to prevent any ascension because they want to feed off of our anxieties and fears. Is that true or not true?
That's true. That
Okay.
does not make them bad actors. They're doing their part.
Right. Right.
You are to have a planet of free will with its duality. It needs the polarity of negative and positive. Otherwise, there is no choices to be made.
Right. Right. That also gives us the ability to experience a lot more emotions than you experience elsewhere in the universe too, right? Okay. Okay. Very interesting.
Because a group are playing acting the part of the negative entities does not make them negative.
Sure. That makes
Ultimately, all comes from source. Ultimately, all is light and love.
right. Just like a lion eats a gazelle, it doesn't make either one of them any better or worse or evil or positive. It's just a lion eating a gazelle.
There is an agreement.
Right.
The gazelle offers themselves. They offer their frequency and their energy to be part of the lion's frequency and energy. It's a
Right.
mutual consent.
And then part of the reason that those of us that are here that are incarnated as humans at this time is because by going through this process as souls, I guess eventually at some point we'll become sort of creator beings of our own right and be able to make planets and universes and things like this. So this is just part of the process of getting us to that point.
As part of the process of the return from the darkness back to the light, yes.
Right, and that's where all the real lessons are learned is in that part of the process, huh?
All the fun is that's why you enjoy the process instead of trying to hurry it along and make it.
Right. Okay.
I have a question.
You go ahead, Michelle.
Um, like the cycles before this, where we've been at higher frequencies and then we dip down into lower frequencies. I don't know if that's the Vesica. No, I don't know. But every 26,000 years or whatever, like maybe we go through a cycle, and so we go from like one frequency to a different lower frequency. As once we go back up from the ascension, are we gonna like plummet again? I mean, is that kind of going to be the continuing pattern?
Not really. The whole thing can be played out again if it's wanted, if it's required, but it doesn't have to be played out again here. The beings that have played the role of holding this space of free will, this space of negativity, they've literally been in this balanced position. They are being released from that position. They are reclaiming their light and their power and their glory. Do they have to take up this mantle and redo this, play this game again? No, they do not. Would another person wish to play this game? Possibly. That's their choice.
Black and White, before we move on to other topics, is there anything that you would like to tell us or anybody that might watch this in the future about coming Earth changes so that they can not be in fear of these things?
That is the message. Do not be in fear. Fear creates its own energy system. Fear will open up, will create energy vortices which will create havoc all by themselves. If you wish to add to the problems of the earth, fear is a good path to take to do that.
Okay.
If you wish to be part of the solution, move it into love.
Okay.
Don't judge a situation at all. Don't look at any situation. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Do not judge it. Look at it and say, this is what's happening. And leave it at that.
Right.
Send your love. If you feel it's necessary to send your love, send your love. Be love. Be that every which way you turn. The more you can hold that space and the more people who do hold that space, the easier it will be for the whole planet. It's not just about mitigating disasters. It's about creating the vortices of love themselves, which can do so much for the planet.
Is there any message you guys would like to give to Ursula today? I know she's been doing some dragon meditations and some work with dragons and the planet. I figure there's a reason you guys came forward today to talk to her and us. Anything you'd like to tell to Ursula?
Ai, portoja kanonuro pantara. Teoren kantirna kormurrenda kortatarte torruan porra. Korrikaran torrarin rarardo. Param korla barin kurraureta. Parin Tito correndo Priedo cuaia. Carranto torto catita crato. Rido croco, rido crator. Caraco, corte, carta, tarba, cranto, crotor, era cro.
Can you give me a short version translation of that? These guys say, "We love you, Ursula. Keep doing what you're doing."
That was a message for Ursula, it wasn't for you.
I'm nosy sometimes. Sorry about that. All right. So, Ursula, we want to have you move into the manifestation room. The dragons are welcome to come if they like. We want to move on to the next part of today's mission here. And so we go into the manifestation room and we see the table there, the crystals on it, made by our friends for us. We have all our higher selves and guides and teams around the outer edges of this. And we would, first of all, I just want to say, are you in there, and how does it look in there to you, Ursula?
I am in here, and this room suddenly is massive because the two huge dragons walked in with me.
Well, black and white, maybe you guys we can extend the room for you, or maybe you can watch from the hallway, or maybe you can.
That's
There we go.
excellent.
There we go. Thank you, Hal, for helping out with that. And I'm getting some energy there. Just a minute. Okay.